Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to the Little Acre. So in the last recording we got both Lily the daughter and the father, who I'm not sure they ever named, into this magical swamp world. Lily got eaten by a crocodile and spit out back to this location, which seemed to be the right solution, even though it for a moment there looked like it might game over me and start me over. Meanwhile, the father helped the bad guy start a machine, and then the bad guy nearly robbed him / killed him. Who knows? There is, I think, a storytelling mistake here, and this is just definitely armchair quarterbacking, but I feel like Lily could have gone on a very different plot. Although I'm not a huge fan of the A plot and the B plot, Lily could have been in the real world, seeing everything through childlike, fantastical eyes, just basically hallucinating a medieval fantasy adventure where perhaps at times you would be shown the world from her perspective, and at times you'd be shown the world as it actually was, and her actions might solve puzzles or help the father in unpredictable ways, whereas then the father could be in this fantastical world and seemingly isn't really seeing a lot of charm or adventure in it, because he's just looking for his father, the grandfather. And then we definitely have a lot of transition points in these sections where it does feel like the whole game just ran out of budget. Now we've gone very, very Alice in Wonderland like. And we kind of just jumped at that point.
What have you got there?
The dog kept the note.
Adventuring. No!
So now he's trapped in the real world, which is the exact opposite of what I was just suggesting. And here's a girl. Is that the mother?
Can I help you?
My name is Nina. I'm a friend of your father's. I've been out here for a while thinking about how to say this in a way that you'd believe me, but then about a minute ago I heard that sound. You've been there, haven't you? To Clonfera.
Yes, and I need to get back there.
How would he
You
know
must
that's
go
the
back
name?
there. It's dangerous. Your father, he was killed. I'm so sorry.
He... What?
So Nina...
Lily's there, in Clonfera. You have to help me bring her home, please.
Oh my God. Come with me. We need to get to my lab.
Like,
Hurry.
the voice acting here feels like two different people in two different rooms, not really playing off of each other. That was really bad for a cutscene.
But then he spat me out. He's probably not used to his food poking him with a sword. And then I saw you, although you already knew that bit. You're a good listener, like Dougal. Hey, what's your name, by the way? Well, you're like a big bug, so I'm gonna call you Bugsy, okay? So, will you help me find
He
my
seems
family?
to be tied to a rock. I don't know if she did
first,
that.
let's get out of here.
So, you have a bug-like dog creature, which again, if you were to take my armchair rewriting of the game, this could have just been Dougal with some finger paints all over him to look like a bug. There's not really anything that was revealed in the previous cutscene. Like, of course, he was gonna have to rescue his daughter. Regardless, she's in danger as a child, just being left on her own, so there doesn't need to be any more of a danger. Nina does seem like she might be a secret daughter to the fathers, so the granddad, which would mean that Nina and the father are sisters, so they can't fairly well be a romantic interest. And I don't think we're going to go in that route. But that's what you have to take from that early cutscene. And I don't know why you would have shown that early cutscene at this point. It seems like it was just kind of foreshadowing some surprise that shouldn't have happened at that point.
There was a really big, squishy flower.
Some of these narrations do kind of feel like they are from a past tense. So this does just feel like this is a bedtime story being told. Use Bugsy with the vine.
Bugsy was definitely too heavy to climb the vine.
Let's
I
pull
might be
this.
able to climb this. Oof! Or not.
Nope. And I kind of don't get the danger element here, frankly. This could have just been a Costume Quest style story. Costume Quest being a RPG for kids, although it's a little too grindy even for that. Where if you wanted to see it that way, you could definitely imagine that everything that happened in Costume Quest actually was just the daydreams of the kids, although
I thought about doing that, but decided not to.
they kind of make it impossible to really believe that after a certain point.
There was nothing to tie it to. I'd need to find another way up.
Okay. Sword
That
with the ledge.
definitely wouldn't have worked.
So Bugsy with the ledge.
Hey, Bugsy, give me a boost. Hup.
Okay. Now we have another flower. Which, let's go stab the
That
flower.
definitely wouldn't have worked.
Let's use the vine on the flower.
Nope.
Let's just click on the flower then. Just jumps directly into the flower and gets spit out another flower.
Hey, I'm back where I started. And I've lost my sword. We could have just used the dog-eat door this whole time. Come on, then.
See, that doesn't feel like a very satisfactory solution to a puzzle, because what I did had no connection to the solution at all.
Rude.
And then the voices just don't feel like they're normalized, so sometimes she comes off too loud, and then sometimes she comes off too quiet for me. And hopefully this is balanced well enough for everyone
Look at that
else.
thing. It's like a bat squirrel.
Now, I'd argue bats are pretty much squirrels anyways.
Bugsy, what did he ever do to you? What? Hey!
Apparently. Quite a lot. Because that creature did seem like it was about to stab her in the back. Vine with Bugsy?
Nope.
Let's just see if we can talk to
I
him.
hope you're as good at tracking as Dougal is.
And sword with Bugsy?
I thought about doing that, but decided not to.
It kind of feels like this might have been a actual kid voice acting. And I think that's almost always a mistake. Honestly. There's just too much
You must
work
have gone into one of these
and
flowers.
too much inconsistency in the voice work that you'll get from a kid.
Which one? That definitely wouldn't have worked.
Okay. There's nothing else to click over here. You have something called Birel Fur,
Evidence.
which I guess that's the name of the creature, is a Birel? Burrow?
Which one?
Nope.
Okay, so we have to go back then, and the game gave us a hint before we even knew what we were doing that that we were going to have this creature sniff the fur.
Trust me. Smell this.
And that is funnily like animated. It's very Looney Tunes, and I don't hate that by any means. If there was a whole series of Looney Tunes point and click adventures, that would be a really great idea.
He seemed pretty sure about which way the barrel went.
Well, apparently he's pointing towards this one,
Wait here. I'll be right back.
where I kind of would argue no. He was pointing to the top left one.
Okay, I don't have any more crystals of the type Arthur used, but I have this.
Wait, why can't we just use that with my father's machine?
Because we don't want to blow up the whole countryside. I'll explain when we get to my lab. I'm hoping that I'll be able to send you to Clonfera from here, but they're not going to just let me bring someone into the building. You should be able to sneak in through the side entrance. Just make sure no one sees you. I'll go on ahead and get started. See you soon.
And see, they gave her a motorcycle just so this wasn't a long travel
Hang on, Lily.
section.
I'm on the way.
And you wouldn't want it to be like nighttime in the real world, because that would leave Lily alone too long.
The hydroelectric dam supplied enough power for the town's requirements, little as they were. Few people knew that it was also a place for research, which had been headed up by my father for a long time.
I don't really know why you would do research at a hydroelectric dam unless you just needed a massive amount of power that you couldn't transfer to some other place. I guess maybe it's a convenient place to hide a secret lab. And yeah, just walking in the background. And we have the different animation, which there's definitely still some questionableness around that idea. So the guy is drinking coffee. So we have a cat.
The cat was too preoccupied to notice me.
He's preoccupied by
Hey!
the birds.
Did you stop making so much noise? I'm trying to be stealthy.
And we have a
The
padlock.
small grate covering the vent was secured with a padlock.
And the move here is to just open the door.
The
Like-
door was locked. Of course it was.
And then the second move is to just knock on the window and say, hey, can you open this door for me?
Through the window, I could see there was someone inside. Luckily, he was too busy to notice me.
Because if you act like you belong, you will work it out way better than doing something crazy like this. Which that scared the cat, and there was
Somebody
a
had
key.
hidden the key underneath the flower pot.
One would hope that a major research facility would not be hiding keys under flower pots, but I wouldn't be surprised if some are. Now he's got a chain, which could come in handy. And in the cat goes. Very, very Looney Tunes. So
The door only stayed open for a moment before swinging shut behind the cat. I was gonna have to find another way in.
let's see. Padlock on door handle.
I'm usually a stickler for avoiding fire hazards, but this was for the greater good.
This guy talks about fire hazards a little too often, which could be a characterization, certainly. So we'll do that a second time. The cat seems to love to attack his face directly. So he's just gonna open the window now and put him outside.
My new sidekick had left me with a way in.
He just jumped in height. Interesting. So it just jumped from like a pre-rendered animation to the actual interactive part of the game, and they did not do it right. So his height was lower and then higher. Interesting. I'll have to keep an eye on that and see if he just constantly is
I'd made it into the canteen. The worker was still there,
changing
facing
and
towards the
shifting
lift.
off model. Yeah, that's what you really would call this. Is just because you have two character designs, he could be off character design.
There's one of those
a lot
new
of
microwave
times.
ovens I'd heard about in the corner of the canteen. The idea of almost instant porridge was attractive, but trying to keep Lily away from it wasn't.
What century is this supposed to be in? You have digital clocks. Looks like a standard fire extinguisher. Seems like an electric kettle or just regular kettle. You have elevators and fans. The idea that microwave ovens would not have existed, or that they would be new at this point, doesn't make any sense. So it puts us in a weird alternate reality. You also have a radio, which puts it kind of in the past. So maybe this could be slightly in the past, but I don't know by how much.
Yeah.
This could be the 40s and 50s at oldest. That does look like a fairly old refrigerator design. Also, a very oddly small refrigerator design that would not work at all. They clearly shrunk it down because they wanted the window to be open. Do we have any items? Just the mask that we're going to use constantly.
I couldn't go that way without being seen.
This guy does not seem
I
to
got the
care.
feeling that wasn't his first run-in with the cat.
Like, this guy is not a security guard. So
I don't think that would have helped.
I kind of don't get the point. So am I supposed to just go out the window again? Yes, I am.
If I'd known earlier that I'd be standing on a narrow ledge above a hydroelectric dam, I wouldn't have gone out of bed that morning.
This is definitely a screenshot that they used on Steam,
I'd scared enough animals with the mask for one day.
which
My sidekick was just waiting for the right signal. He sure does have a bird's eye view from up there. Whoa!
so we needed that to happen once so we could then get a feather. But we didn't
There's
grab
nothing
the
worse
feather
than a
in
territorial
time.
bird when you're shimmying across a 200-foot drop. There's nothing worse than a...
So I have to grab the feather, but my mouse cursor disappears, and so you only have a certain amount of time to grab it.
It wasn't gonna help me fly, but I figured I could use it for something.
And then the feather with the cat. I don't know why a cat would particularly decide to attack a bird just because he was tickled with a feather. It's not like they hunt because they smell the scent of something. But at least as far as I know, they don't hunt because they smell the scent of something. Well, we can get into Nina's labs, we can
It
look
was
at
hard
the
to tell where the
turbines.
genuine hydroelectric machinery stopped and the experimental tech began.
Looks like we can walk over this way. And see a mouse run across the foreground, which nobody needed that in their
Nina
lives.
was waiting for me in her lab.
Nina could be a bad guy, too. We don't want to dismiss it just because she looks like she's helpful and she's a female.
you are. What took you so long? What? Never mind. I need your help with something. I'm almost ready to go here, but I need something else for this to work. A cavity magnetron should do the trick.
Keep
the
an eye on
one to
his
get
height.
is probably from the microwave oven upstairs.
And see if it
I'll
changes.
finish up here. Let me know when you've got it.
They're done with this cutscene. He did kind of pop in. It was only a couple pixels, but this time, but definitely was some pop in. And I wonder if it has something to do with just like them not particularly saving him in the right location as a flat 2D creature in a somewhat 3D environment. So she's got one of these gloves, which we've already seen.
The large crystal Nina had shown me earlier was now attached to the palm of another unusual glove.
Which seems like people know how to use these gloves. There's a picture here of her with a cat.
I could only imagine what this lab looked like when it also had my father's work scattered around it.
Yeah, it feels like these two could have been the main people of the story, but then that really puts Lily out as an unimportant secondary character. And I think if you were going to have that happen, the introduction in this order isn't probably the greatest, because this is one of those scenarios where Nina's going to help him save his daughter, Lily, and then he's going to probably never want to see her again because he's going to coordinate his first impression with her with the trauma.
Oh, hey, Jerry.
Yeah. Is his name Jerry, or is he just blind?
The microwave
Because the
oven
cat
was in use,
scratched him.
but I didn't have time to wait.
So we just got a magnetron from a microwave oven,
It's probably fine.
and the lift is now broken because it's short-circuited. I feel like these ceiling fans weren't ever
Somehow,
spinning.
I had broken the lift. I was becoming used to doing things the hard way, at least.
Yeah, I don't think that was a good decision. They should have had the spinning and the lights go out, and that way you have a direct recognition that everything is broken.
Oh, come on.
This guy's just getting worse and worse. And that was
At least
another
there's no
achievement.
sign of the bird this time.
Of course, now there's me falling to my death because it's been chipped once already. And the cat ate the bird. Well, what was the point of the chip then? So they wanted you to have a magnetron, so they put a microwave oven that doesn't look like a microwave oven in the kitchen. They said the microwave ovens themselves are a new technology, which doesn't really make a lot of sense when you look at the radios and the TVs of the time. This looks like this is 60s, 70s at the earliest, where I feel like a microwave oven would have been in popular use maybe in the 60s, but barely at that. I feel like they probably would have been in existence in like the 50s.
I could only imagine what this lab looked like when it also had my father's work scattered around it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if people had microwave ovens before they had TVs in a lot of cases. Well, whatever, we'll just
Great,
give this
thank
to
you.
her.
This'll just take a moment.
There's a bunch of symbols on the left side of the screen.
Alright, I followed your father's design as closely as I could. Put this on. Now, this crystal is different from the others, much more powerful. With the lesser crystals, you need to find a place where the fabric of our reality is already weakened. But with this, we should be able to tear open a new gateway right here.
Thanks.
Aim that way.
So this laser gun does seem to open tears in reality.
Nina's scattered notes reminded me of my father.
Is she gonna come with him, or... I mean, she's an expert.
Aidan, be careful.
Okay, his name is Aidan, which we're, frankly, 2 hours into the game, and that's, I think, the first time anyone has said it. And Nina doesn't know him, because she just kind of met him, so...
Give me that. Oh,
That section,
where am I?
that dialogue feels a little weird. Yeah, it definitely feels like we're playing two very different games here. One of a concerned father trying to save his child, and plenty of stories in video games have had that experience where the child is just the MacGuffin to capture. Here's a camera. Like an old school camera. And then we're playing something as a secondary story that is very much like a it's like a fantasy kids story, although now we've seen a memorial stone of Granddad, so apparently she knows that her granddad's name is Arthur, and apparently there's only one Arthur in the entire universe.
Oh, where am I?
This once again does just make it feel a lot like a fantasy bedtime story that's being told to a kid.
The enormous door was similar to the entrance of the building Mare had led me to before. I hope that meant I was near.
The building Mare had led him to before. Oh, the temple. Yeah, and then we saw Mare. And it seems like we're just going to randomly meet up. You can kind of tell that each of these sections were designed in a vacuum, where there's no natural
Lily?
meeting of the two characters. Did he just hallucinate her, or are they just in completely separate realities? Like, there probably would be some slight conflict here where she would still want to go on an adventure if she hadn't just seen that her grandfather was dead. So
Lily!
I think she'd be willing to go home at this point.
There you are. What are you doing here? Come on, we have to get... Lily? Ah! Ah! Ah!
So that's a creepy creature.
Mare?
Arthur will be part of Clonfera forever, and so will you.
There's a lot of creepy creatures. Probably too many creepy creatures. And a lot of cutaways in one direction or the other. And then you have one or two helpful creatures.
Bugsy! I thought I lost you too. Maybe it's not too late to save my dad.
There's a grandfather.
Granddad? You're okay!
And the mother, apparently.
What? Mommy? What? No! Why did you make me see that? Hang on, Dad, I'm not leaving you!
So we're gonna fight the creature, which means
It
take
was
this
too big
torch.
for me to use as a weapon.
Let's see, this with this,
Nope.
this with this,
Nope.
Bugsy with turret.
Nope.
There's a ledge
Might
over
be
there.
able to climb this.
Bugsy with the ledge.
Bugsy was already doing everything he could to stop the monster eating my dad.
Guess first thing to do is just try the sword.
Nope. That definitely wouldn't have worked. I might be able to climb this.
So, if I can climb this, can I
thought
climb
about
it?
doing that, but decided not to.
So you have the illusion monster, you have Bugsy, you have a turret. Is there anything else besides the ledge?
I might be able to climb this. Nope.
There's only one left click option. Bugsy with the ledge.
Bugsy was already doing everything he could to stop the monster eating my dad.
And then Bugsy with the illusion monster.
Bugsy was already doing everything he...
If we can't do anything with the dad.
Dad! Keep him busy for a sec!
Hey you! Big ugly monster! Over here! Look at me!
So I had to
Bugsy
do
was
that.
already doing everything he could to stop the monster eating my dad. Dad! Keep him busy for a sec!
So you have to click fairly fast
Hey!
here.
Look at me again! I'm serious this time!
Like that was a fairly fast click that had to happen. And then sword down
Definitely wouldn't have worked.
or vine down. Now vine.
It was going to take someone strong to pull the monster anywhere.
So Bugsy with the vine. And apparently you don't have to talk to Bugsy to make him
Great
do
work,
that.
Bugsy! We've nearly got him!
And apparently I'm gonna have to walk down here lower to be able to see the screen. And we're gonna have to get the dad to do
Catch
something.
me, Dad!
I can't! My arms are...
So she just jumped on him.
It was too big for me to use as a weapon.
Right, Bugsy.
Great work, Bugsy! We've nearly got him!
Turret.
It was too...
Vine with the turret. And then push it over. And the dad's falling over and crawling to help push it over with his teeth. And then he apparently got pulled over too.
Dad! Are you okay?
I'm alright! Just don't come down!
Okay, I'm gonna jump down now!
And there's another achievement. Like we're just having this happen a lot there. And she
What are you doing here?
landed
Are you okay? I was so worried.
on
I
the
was
monster.
looking for you and Granddad.
Lily. Granddad.
I know. Can we go home now?
Yeah.
Wait. Myrrh. He stole the glove. We needed to get home. Come on, quick. We can't get stuck in this place.
Do they need it to go home though? Because if they can find the teleportation place that they returned home from, we're now playing as the father.
I don't think that would have helped.
And again, he's really quiet in his voice lines. Like they may not have power
Wait!
No more
To-
waiting.
to
This
come
time
back to this
I
world.
Go.
They should be able to leave. Yeah,
No!
Just go, Dad! Stop him!
Wait right there!
so they're forcing them to be split up again, which
Wow. This must be for a really big dog.
I guess that does mean that there is a little bit more game here, because for a second there it did kind of feel like
Wow.
we're approaching the end of this, and I think we are. I think this is the beginning of the second of 3 acts, if I was to guess.
I recognize Granddad's old radio sitting on the floor. I wonder how that got there.
I feel like there's probably a few revelations here, but that's probably it.
Nope.
So we can't pick up that. We can't do anything with the panels. We could take Granddad's
Granddad's
hat.
hat was on the edge of the pool. He must have stopped for a drink.
So that's an interesting idea, I suppose, to have her misinterpret some things that we already know the answers to. And we have a drippy plant, which doesn't make any sense.
I bet Granddad would have loved this thing.
Ew.
So I don't know what we're really looking for or trying to interact with. Seems like she would probably just be stuck.
Nope.
There's nothing here. And the animal doesn't seem to be here. It's a big
I bet
machine.
Granddad would have loved this thing.
And then there's the radio.
I recognize Granddad's old radio sitting on the floor.
And
I wonder
the
how that
hat.
got there.
And the pool, I guess.
Dad!
So that's just like terrible design, frankly, to just have it go into an animated cutscene.
Your father died to protect you and this world from me. My thanks for undoing his efforts.
Weird that he has like one horn, and he sucks the life out of him. And there are some kind of low effort games I've seen that feel like they at one point wanted to be
I've got to do something!
direct to TV or direct to DVD
Granddad's hat was on the edge of the pool.
cartoons. And
He must have
this
stopped for a
does
drink.
kind of feel like something that would have been more of a
I recognize Granddad's old radio
animated,
sitting on the floor.
like
I
30
wonder
minute
how that got there.
movie that didn't get the funding, and thus they decided to turn it into a
Hey, this must be Granddad's glove.
point and click adventure instead.
Who is this? Huh? I'm Lily. Who are you? Over.
Lily, this is Nina. I'm a friend. Where are you? Your father's been looking for you. He's really...
Oh, don't worry. He found me. Well, I found him. But then the bad guy with purple hair tried to trap us here. So Dad went to stop him, and now I can see them fighting in the back garden through this magic mirror thing. I'm not making this up.
No, I believe you. Look, when the portal closes, the radio will stop working. If that happens, I promise I'll come back to get you somehow. Just stay safe.
Why is he doing this?
Our world sustains his kind better than his own ever could. It's complicated. They left him behind long ago. I suppose he just wants to see them again, even at the cost of hurting other people.
He wants to see them again? Maybe I could give him what he wants.
Lily, don't do anything. Just stay put.
So that was a weird slide when she touched the glove to hit the radio. And yeah, I don't think we really need or even have time to have Mare become a sympathetic bad guy. Alright, so she's got the glove now. Which glove on something else?
I thought about doing that, but decided not to. Granddad's hat was on the edge of the pool. He must have stopped for a drink.
I just don't think that there's... Like, if you made a portal here, you couldn't really jump through it. You could, if you can make portals anywhere there's a circle, which I don't think that's really the case of what's going on. I think you were just supposed to get the glove and leave. Now I think we'll be able to walk somewhere else. I wonder if Mir is the same as the illusion monster. Let's see.
I thought about doing that, but decided not to.
Sword on the illusion monster?
Nope.
Well, what else?
I finally got to slay a dragon. Only one more bad guy to deal with.
It really does feel like the game is trying to wrap up.
I finally got only.
Not a lot of... There's not really any repeated dialogue, I suppose, in this game after the first time. And I've locked myself into this area. So either I'm supposed to use the glove with him,
That definitely wouldn't have worked.
or I'm supposed to use the sword with him.
That definitely wouldn't have worked.
Or the game is so incredibly glitched that there's something else to do or to click on.
I had everything I needed to go rescue Dad. He sure seems to need saving a lot.
And either there's a resolution issue here,
Only.
or something weird's happening. Because there's like nothing I can click on. Statue.
Somebody should really fix these.
Like there's no way to zoom out. Let me just press down and on the keyboard, WASD and stuff like that. That's not moving me anywhere.
I had everything I need. He sure seems to need.
So we have this. It says we have everything we need.
Nope.
Oh, there's this gas.
Okay, you big monster. You owe me.
So what do we do with the gas?
Okay, you big monster. You owe me.
She shoots the energy above him, makes a portal, which that doesn't make any sense. Oh, I guess we're expelling the illusion gas, and now she's getting eaten. Not quite eaten, she's getting helped up. So it's a fantasy world of half helpful, half unhelpful characters, and there's one more achievement. But yeah, this does just feel like this is just gonna be a
You're all here.
animated
I don't have to be
wrap-up.
alone anymore. Ah!
So the illusion monster ate him. Somehow the illusion monster moved ahead of her.
Dad!
And now she's got that weird
Dad!
way of drawing her stub
Leave
nose.
me!
And I guess maybe the illusion monster killed Mare. There's no sound effects playing. And the dog is back to being a puppy. And very Looney Tune ending. Well, that wasn't 5 hours, and that gave me like 3 achievements at the end. Kate Clavin is Lily. Brian Hanby is Aidan. Sean Carey is Mare. I don't know any of these people. Rebecca Waltz as Nina. Which we got no revelation as far as that first cutscene as far as what was the deal with Nina. It was written by Ben Calvin, so literally he did put his daughter in the game. There's been too many of those games, frankly, where a proud parent effectively is putting their kid to work or using their kid as a way of selling their own game. And this is a very short game that doesn't have any challenge in it at all. So I would give it a really good score if you're to assume this is targeted towards a 10-year-old, and I would give it a fairly bad score if you're to assume this is targeted to the 20 and 30-year-olds who would have been playing point-and-click adventures since the 80s. The sound designer and the balancing of all that was pretty bad. The puzzle design is super simplistic with no red herrings at all. This does totally feel like it is a yeah, we're getting like little hints at backstory that they ran out of budget to tell. And this is a 2016 game. If there was going to be a sequel to it, there would have been a sequel announced. And you can kind of see what happened here if I was to guess. And they did have a dog named Dougal.
Line goes down.
Yeah, I bet the kid probably didn't want to do the voice acting, if I was to guess. That would be one way that this project could have been completely thrown through a loop, is that having your child do the voice acting for more than a few hours and more than a few days would probably be annoying, and they wouldn't want to continue with it. And see, there's like a continue button here, but what is that just going to do? Nothing. It's just going to bring up the same cutscene. Which, yeah. So, there's no game here. Other than the straightforward experience that we've had. And we barely went, I'd say 2.5 hours. You're just barely over the 2-hour automatic refund limit. There's no sequel that's going to happen here. It did end on a happy ending, although we have lots of questions, certainly, as far as, well, why introduce the grandfather just for him to be mysteriously killed and not even explain how he was killed? That's probably what that first cutscene was trying to show. That's probably what this would help with more than anything, is watching this a second time and seeing if this makes any more sense. Clearly that's Nina with the father, and they take a picture in front of that stone that has his name on it, and then he escapes, and then I guess maybe Mare kills him. We don't know, really. All of this information is kind of useless. She gets teleported to what looks like an ancient location where once people from this world and other worlds transferred. And she kind of knows that he's probably dead even at that point. So she failed
I woke to the sounds of Lily's gentle snores as they drifted across the bedroom loft. She was still fast asleep, and I needed to keep it that way, or suffer the consequences. Creaky floorboards meant that the simple act of getting dressed will require a little ingenuity.
So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this was like the demo that the game was sold on, is this puzzle. And this puzzle is by far the most complicated puzzle in the game, really, and it's right up front, and then it's kind of just a one and done puzzle like all the other puzzles. I can't say I hated the story. It's just that there isn't enough there to really sink your teeth into. in all fairness, I will say there's been plenty of point-and-click adventure games like the later Broken Sword games, Broken Sword 5 in particular, where I just was super frustrated and absolutely hated the game. I'm not leaving this game with that attitude at all. I'm just going to forget this game because it's so straightforward and simplistic. I would say don't put your kids in games, whether it is a son or a daughter. Don't make them be voice actors. Don't try to make them celebrities. Don't let your kids be YouTube celebrities, because you sacrifice their privacy there. You put them in a position where you're going to have to force them to work when they really shouldn't be forced to work. Regardless of how gung-ho they are about an idea or project at the beginning, the harsh reality of actually having to do voice acting for the number of lines of dialogue that a game would require is going to make that a problem. It definitely feels like there's a reason why Revolution Software did not publish this game and did not fund the game as a game that would have been developed and published by Revolution Software. It definitely makes sense why this wouldn't even feel like a Revolution Software point-and-click adventure, because the puzzles are too simplistic. I'd like to see the people who can work together, and hopefully they can work together, that work at Revolution Software, to find a happy medium between this. A nice, simplistic, more modern point-and-click adventure game with a more interesting and longer story like Broken Sword as a series went. And even Broken Sword series often went off the rails, but it did it after 20 hours of gameplay. There's no way you would have gotten stuck on any of these puzzles and added 2 or 3 hours of extra gameplay. If you did have that, you would have just gotten frustrated and given up. The most frustration point that I had was the simple issue with all point-and-click adventures, that it often is just a pixel hunt, even when you have a glowing dot. These glowing dots could have been a little bit bigger and perhaps a bit more contrasty, because certainly they can tend to blend into with the background often, and then they do have a tendency to disappear when you're not near them with a mouse. So, like, look at this dot. When I come over here, it disappears completely. Same is true for this dot. So it's only when the mouse gets close that you actually see the possibilities, which still has you pixel hunting up and down looking for things in if you need to find something on screen. Yeah, but it definitely feels like they ran out of budget here. They didn't run out of idea. Or maybe they did run out of idea, but they definitely shouldn't have. There's totally more story that should have been told here. We should have seen Nina as a playable character, or at least an assistant character, way more. We should have gotten her backstory as something more than just the person working for her. We got none of the backstory as far as the people in charge of the hydroelectric dam, so we don't know if the people running the dam are actually bad guys, or if they aren't, which also doesn't explain why the father isn't working at the dam to make money and why they're running out of money. That potential backstory got dropped. There's just a whole bunch of like ideas that get dropped in favor of nothing. And let's not forget that there was a major section here where instead of having point-and-click adventures, we were doing lily pad jumping puzzles that were kind of poorly programmed. So, yeah. Unfortunately, to wrap up here, I will say this is probably the experience you're going to have with any point-and-click adventure that is not published by a kind of major player in the field. That they're all just going to have not quite enough budget to pay voice actors, so then you run the risk of making a point-and-click adventure in modern times without it being a talkie, which would not really sell. Or you're going to end up being iterative or just repetitive by doing the exact same thing that's been done before. And since it's a niche style of gameplay in the first place, you're not going to get enough money to really make your money back in a lot of cases. And so you definitely don't see people bother with that. You also have the issue that if you think you can write, or you can write, you can make a visual novel, and visual novels sell very well, particularly outside of the Western world and more in the Asian world. And in that case, you barely have to put any gameplay in it at all if you don't want to. It can just be a completely linear, one-path visual novel, and it still will sell just as well as a point-and-click adventure goes. And if you can't particularly write, but you can program better than it would take an average person to make a point-and-click adventure, then you can just make a 3D adventure game that is not about the pointing and clicking and not about the story, and is much more just running around, say, a linear world or an open world, attacking characters. And then you get into something similar to like a Mario game, where there's considerably less writing in even a great game like Mario Odyssey compared to the Broken Sword series. And that leaves very little wiggle room to try and make a successful point-and-click adventure. I will say also, compared to the Daedalic Games, which is a German point-and-click adventure developer, this game ended on a happy note, and I have to applaud that. And I definitely want to again applaud the fact that this is kind of like a loving family that is just trying to take care of their family members here. It's not the weird sarcastic comedy of something like Day of the Tentacle, and it's not an Indiana Jones macho bravo action story that you would have from like Indiana Jones Fate of Atlantis, which is about the middle ground there. Or you get something like Monkey Island, which is a lot like Day of the Tentacle, but in more of a in a slightly less comedic manner. I don't think there's any more criticism to say other than the audio's not balanced, so that's going to be it for this series. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos, because that helps me with YouTube and tells them that my videos are worth watching. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and get me a gift card or a game off my wish list. Go to my YouTube channel and check out the playlist tab. I have a playlist for every other game I've ever covered, and there's plenty of other point-and-click adventure games. Go check out Broken Sword 1. I think Broken Sword 1 and 2 are decent games, even in their remake forms. They're not quite as good as they were the first time I played them, but I wouldn't recommend any of them after 2. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.